New beginnings because the world's collective consciousness, which is the sum of all previous and present states of consciousness on Earth, is changing. It is becoming lighter and more evolved due to presence of so many spiritually advanced souls now on Earth, with more continuing to come. Much that has long constituted the universal collective consciousness is dissolving, or has already dissolved through the presence of so many spiritually evolved individuals on Earth. This is the year we remember that we do not need to be freed, saved, or fixed by anyone or anything. This is the year we remember that we are actually the freer and liberator, and that the only thing we are here to free and liberate is our mind. From the illusion that it needs to believe every thought it has about itself and the world. What if the thoughts your mind chooses to identify with are just thoughts and have nothing to do with who you really are? What if who you are at your core is someone who is already free and much greater than any thought their mind chooses to identify with? Your core self, which is your spirit self, has been and always will be free. The mind may not be comfortable with embracing the vastness that comes with knowing you are already free, because the mind has been conditioned to thrive within the self-protective parameters of control and safety. The key to setting the mind free is to gently show it how to find comfort and safety through the daily acknowledgement of your core self. Creating space for your core to become more present for the mind will allow the mind to build trust in you. Divine mind is the one and only mind, and therefore the real mind of every person. However, in the lower resonating energy of the third dimension, mind, a channel of awareness for consciousness, is overshadowed with dense energies of duality, separation. And two powers becoming for all intents and purposes a human, personal, ego mind, a three-dimensional concept of the one mind. The personal ego mind is only able to access information and truth from outside of itself, from the collective. As the collective becomes increasingly illumined through the presence of the many high resonating states of consciousness now on Earth who came specifically for this purpose, people will have access to and begin to draw ideas from a higher resonating collective and begin to implement them as spiritually evolved, new, and better ideas for living. There will always be those who benefit from the status quo and resist change, while continuing to cling to and promote familiar and less enlightened ways of solving problems and living life. All have free will to choose as they please, but changes are coming and resistance will prove to be futile. Because Earth's ascension is a divine plan that will continue to unfold in spite of any and all resistance. When we find ways to affirm for the mind that it is not losing anything by embracing and working harmoniously together with our core self, but rather showing it how valuable this can be, we free it to embrace its true role. As we enter the new year, let's reflect on whether or not we are allowing ourselves to be free in all ways. Are we allowing ourselves to shine brightly? Are we speaking our truth fully? Are we embracing and sharing all of our gifts, talents, and presence with the world the way we truly desire? Are we taking time to love, pamper, and nurture ourselves and others often? Are we setting aside time each day to allow our mind to be fully acknowledge our spirit, the way our spirit already loves and acknowledges our mind? Are we expressing heartfelt gratitude for our blessings? If you answered yes to these questions, then you are most likely already experiencing a great freedom in your life. If for any reason you are still struggling with connecting to the vibration and experience of freedom, know that it's just feedback. To remind you that your mind desires to receive love, acknowledgement, and support from you. The new year is seen as a time for making New Year resolutions because the start of a new year feels like a perfect time to examine the past year and make changes. However, most New Year's resolutions never come to full fruition simply because people are consciousness with bodies rather than bodies with consciousness, and whatever remains firmly established in one's consciousness simply continues to manifest. However, choosing to make resolutions for positive change indicates that a person is looking more deeply into themselves, recognizing how and what they would like to change, and are attempting to make it happen. The problem is that most resolutions are based in three-dimensional concepts about how life could be better physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, concepts that never really address the underlying root of that which they hope to change. Long accepted beliefs about how people or life should be in order to be right or successful are no longer resonating as true with an increasing number of individuals. People are beginning to recognize that change happens automatically as they let go of old concepts and allow themselves to expand and embrace ideas that are based in oneness rather than separation and competition. The inner is the outer, and so in reality there are no victims. But you cannot say that to those who as of yet are only able to understand life from a three-dimensional perspective. The resistance we are still seeing play out in the world right now is a residual from the collective mind of humanity. That collective mind still makes survival a bigger priority than being in the vibration of love and remembering our divine nature. This is due to humanity having long ago unconsciously agreed to build a system based on separation, lack, hierarchy, and control. Humanity created that form of life to learn what inner growth we might gain by living in a survival-based society. For thousands of years, this system served as humanity's default setting, giving us lots of important feedback as to what we as whole, sovereign beings do and do not desire to create more of. Now this survival system is reaching its expiration date and cannot continue the way it has much longer. That's why we are seeing such chaos everywhere. Because this old structure has been the world's default system for so long, as the collective ego mind senses great change, it's doing all it can to hold on to the survival-based methods it depends upon. Remember, the ego mind thinks it's doing the right thing by holding tight to what it's always believed it needs to stay safe and protected. Many are now increasingly realizing that living in survival mode all of the time is harder than ever. Let your New Year resolutions to be about observing, allowing, and ceasing to resist in the realization of yourself as self. A divine being who chose to be on earth at this time in order to add light to the collective, clear remaining dense energies, and assist others to awaken. Let your resolutions reflect your evolved state of consciousness, your spirituality. Let them be about love, the reality of all life, and simply being. Resistance adds energy and increasingly empowers whatever is being resisted. The clearing process often causes anger, resentment, fear, jealousy, self-loathing, guilt, and all sorts of negative emotions to surface. Do not resist them, for their presence does not mean you are reverting back to an old state of consciousness, but rather simply means that you are experiencing the emotions associated with whatever pocket of old energy is moving through. Observe, feel, and simply allow any negative emotions or thoughts. Allow these old energies to flow through and out without giving them power or believing that they are personally yours. Refusing to give something power in spite of appearances does not mean ignoring someone or situation in need, saying to them, "God is all, it's not real, it's an illusion." Many have gotten trapped in this three-dimensional way of interpreting truth, which is the ego-based act of pretending a state of consciousness not yet attained. Living truth means assisting or stepping in with human footsteps, when or if you are intuitively guided to do so, while never forgetting the underlying reality and innate divinity of all involved. This does not mean yanking someone out of their chosen lesson. Always listen to your intuition for guidance in these situations. Yet most are still unsure as to how to make the leap from the old coping habits of control, lack, and fear to ways of being that reflect an empowered state of awareness, where freedom reigns supreme, with respect for all life through fairness, peace, compassion, and love. As we move into 2026 and beyond, one of the most important roles of the Divine Feminine is to help humanity move beyond the miscreations of the unconscious masculine, which long ago forgot its divine nature. For eons of time in third-dimensional reality, humanity was influenced primarily by the aspect of the masculine that had separated from its divine source. What has remained is the aspect of the masculine energy that represents the illusions of control and survival. It's quite clear that this aspect of the masculine that long ago forgot its divinity is trying hard now, exerting a big push to keep its controlling grip on humanity. This can easily be seen in many branches and sects of religious organizations, governments, and corporations that rely heavily on fear to promote their agenda. It's through the Divine Feminine that this unconscious divine aspect of masculine energy will heal and return to its patterns of pure perfection. It's through the Divine Feminine that the Divine Masculine will return to our Earth life experience. The Divine Feminine represents divine love. There are those who are not yet ready or able to integrate the new and higher resonating energies flowing to Earth at this time and are choosing to leave in order to come back into the new Earth at a later time. Others are leaving because they believe they can assist Earth's ascension process more fully from the other side. Death is always a choice. Not one made from three-dimensional awareness, but one made on deeper levels. Many were tired and just wanted to go home, and COVID offered this opportunity. Earth is a very difficult school of evolution, but because there is only the one life, no life is ever lost, wasted, or a failure. A person who leaves as the result of addiction, violence, or other negative choices quickly, and with the help of guides, begins to understand what he was unable to while on Earth. Every soul has infinite opportunities to return to Earth armed with a new awareness and prepared to experience and move past that which held him or her in bondage the last time. This is how spiritual evolution works on Earth, until at some point the soul has learned all it can from three-dimensional experiences and is ready to continue evolution in the higher dimensions.